It's 8:46 in the AM. I'm just on my way to pick up Dan from Gerrards Cross train station. Why Gerrards Cross? Well, we call this the GC Shuffle. Dan lives out in Oxfordshire, I live in Hertfordshire. There is no train route between us without going into London, which is a bit faffy. It means Dan has to go into Paddington, I think, cross London, then out from St Pancras to get to me. He doesn't drive. There's a whole bunch of difficulties us getting together. So we come up with this plan a couple of years ago when we started shooting our first YouTube channel called the GC Shuffle, which is basically Dan gets a train to Gerrards Cross. I drive to Gerrards Cross. It's only 45 minutes from me. It's a similar amount of time for him to get there on the train. I pick him up, drive him back to mine. So it's like an hour and a half round trip for me. And then either we'll do the same when we get, when we're done for the day, or he'll just get the train home. Depends how we're doing at the time and all the rest of it. It might sound like a faff, but actually it's quite cool because it means we get to have a chat in the car, before we start shooting, and it means we get to have a chat in the car and we're finished. And that'll be the phone, so I better go. Start.
That was an early start. Although I don't mind an early start these days.
I'll have to phone on sat nav's just decided to go. Do you know what? We're going to update the maps, which means I can't use it. Brilliant. Well different. So back in 2002, I built a studio in that building behind us. And then in 2005, me and Dan here, plus our mate Rick, started a record company, which we based in there. So there was my studio in there was Rick's studio in there, and they were next door to each other. And we decided to start a record company.
Just as people stop buying records.
It was pretty bad timing as far as record company goes, yeah. But that's where we were. And I think I was in there from...
Sunny Stevenage.
Sunny Stevenage, 2002 until... I think we probably moved out the next year, 2006 I think, or 2007 I moved to the next town up. But yeah, we spent quite a lot of time in there, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
And it was...
Me not as much as you.
No, I was here every day. You were here like a day a week or something.
Yeah.
I think, and we did all kinds of stuff here. We were like, well, we were running a business, but we were also making films, shooting videos, hanging out. It was just generally a place where we spent a lot of time together.
A lot of hanging out.
A lot of hanging out. But I haven't been here, apart from a quick drive past the other day, in 10 years, 15 years? I don't know.
Is it that long?
When you get out of the stage when you're out a lot with your mates when you're young and you're down the pub every weekend, and all of a sudden you've got a family and you're not out all the time, and you get to your 40s or whatever and your career's probably taking up more of your time, you're spending more time with your other half, it's quite hard to maintain friendships.
Yeah, well, blokes tend not to, don't they? Or a lot of blokes.
A lot of blokes tend not to, yeah.
I know a lot. I've got a lot of mates who haven't got any mates.
Yeah, I know people that have just let it drift. It's easily done, I suppose, isn't it? You go a couple of months without seeing your mates and they stop phoning you.
Well, you have got to put effort in, haven't you? That's the other thing. And often when you're tired, you're working and you've got family, you have to make yourself go. Quite often, when you spent 20 years sat in the pub, not that the pub's a bad place. Love the pub, but we had a Sunday afternoon round at a mate's recently.
Yeah.
And it gets to sort of 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon, the prospect of getting to the train station, getting on the train, you know, going and having dinner. I mean, when you're there, it's amazing. It's a right laugh. You're seeing all the boys.
Yeah.
But quite often it's a lot easier not to bother.
Yeah.
Whereas women can't live without it.
No, they're a different breed. They like to natter. They just like to chat about not a lot, as long as it's happening. Whereas I think men are different, aren't they? I think we've got different kinds of friends. You've got the kind of friends like me and you. We will speak on the phone during the week. If we've had a shitty day, we'll probably talk and offload a bit.
Yeah.
I've got lots of friends I won't do that
Yeah.
to. I've got some friends I'll offload about work, but not about personal stuff.
Yeah.
I've got some friends who I maybe see once a year or twice a year. I think I've got a schoolmate I see once every 5 years or something. But the regular ones, you do have to put in effort to not let it drift.
Conversely, I've put effort in not having friends, effort into moving forward.
What, just leaving them behind?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
sometimes that's a healthy thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, and that's difficult sometimes, but when you realise you've got a toxic friend or whatever, or someone that's just not particularly good for you,
Yeah.
you just have to think, "Do you know what, maybe I'll stop calling them."
Well, there's two things, you know. Some people change, and that's not a good thing necessarily.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, some people don't change,
Yeah.
and you want to. You know, you want to grow up, and you know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
get rid of qualities that you don't admire so much.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I've been that friend to some people. I think I've probably...
Definitely.
Oh, definitely. I think it's true. I probably have. I think there was a time, well, certainly in my 40s, I was single for a big chunk of my 40s when all of my friends were married and settled and
Yeah.
stuff. I think their wives probably thought, I don't want you hanging out with him. Yeah, I think there was a definite element of that for some of them. You know, and I get that. I sort of was reliving my youth a little bit for a few years, which was,
That's what the polite way of putting it.
it was the polite way of putting it. But it's true. I did want to go out. I did want to go places where none of my friends really wanted to go.
No, well,
You know?
they did. Their wives just wouldn't let them.
Well, yeah, there was probably a bit of both. Yeah,
But you see, well, you've got brothers or brother?
I've got an older brother and an older sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you see, I'm really close with my brothers.
Yeah,
And so they've been the sort of staple. I always, hang out with my brothers.
well, weirdly, the people I hung out with in that period of time, although it was, some of my mates, it was my sons.
Yeah.
Because obviously my eldest turned 18 when I was 43.
Yep.
And my second one turned 18 when I was 44. So I used to absolutely love the fact that me and my two boys would go out at the weekend.
Yeah.
And, I'd be buying them shots and stuff and I'd be hanging out with their mates. I mean, it was very weird. I think a lot of their friends
Sort of
were
cars.
like, why is your dad coming out with us?
Park and ride. Is that a park and ride for what?
Luton Airport.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, it's just literally just on top of that hill.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah, friends.
So it was weird. It was a weird time. And obviously that's come to an end now. But fun while it lasted.
Yeah, well, they're not shacked up.
Well, yeah,
Getting
they
married
are
and-
shacked up. Yeah, my eldest is getting married. Luke's living with his girlfriend. They're sort of growing up. So they had to, in a way, force their dad to grow up
Yeah.
all over again.
Yeah.
But obviously that with my daughter didn't happen so much because she was younger. By the time she turned 18, I wasn't living in the same place. I mean, we have had a couple of nights out and they've been really fun, but she's not really in that zone of going out all the time anymore than I am. So
No. Everybody's sober now.
there are a lot of sober people. Well, Luke is my middle son. He doesn't
he?
drink. Yep, he hasn't had a drink. I think it's 2 years now.
God grief.
Yeah,
I'm quite envious.
I'm very proud of him. Yeah, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
I talk about it, but
Yeah, same.
doing it is a different thing.
Yeah, but again, you see, those two things are interlinked, aren't they? Because there was a bloke. Where do you see your friends?
Well, this is it. This is a real issue because one of my best friends, we used to meet up, even when I moved away, sort of once a month, we would meet in our regular pub, drink quite a lot and have a really good night. And that was how we used to catch up.
Yeah.
And then, I think 5 or 6 years ago, he just said, I'm not drinking anymore. And we lost touch, not completely. We've sort of rekindled it a bit. We meet up for coffee now. But it took a while to get that to work again because our relationship was built around talking rubbish in the pub.
We had some friends come and stay recently, but they didn't stay actually because we were doing dry January.
Yep.
And we all, and we go out drinking and eating and, and having a jolly nice time with these people. And we went off to the pub and we were sticking to dry January. And you know what? The main thing we talked about was how weird it was to be there and not drinking.
Yeah.
Ordering rounds of lime and soda and Diet Cokes and...
It is strange. I mean, I did a night of it a couple of years ago. It was my friend's 60th. And it was a bit of a drive from where I live. So I really wanted to go. There was no real easy way to get there. So I thought, do you know what? I'll just drive and I'll drink non-alcoholic beer all night. Because I don't mind drinking that now and again. I quite like it. So I've got there and I've got myself a non-alcoholic beer and they go down quite quick. Another one. So I don't know how many I had, 5 or 6.
In danger of becoming a low alcoholic.
Yeah. But the weird thing is that everyone else around me was slowly getting more and more drunk, being a bit more slurred in their talking a bit more bollocks than they were half an hour before. And it just got to a point where I went, well, I'm going home. Yeah. I can't be around that anymore. Everyone's just...
It's so noticeable, isn't it, when you're the sober one? Yeah.
And I'm like, this isn't fun anymore. They're all having a great time. I'm bored. I'm going home. I'm going to have a cup of tea and put a film on.
Yeah, I can sympathise with that. I mean, we did meet at work, but we met in a bar.
That's kind of true, yeah.
And we did work together.
Yeah.
But we partied pretty hard together, really, as well, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, we were working at Wembley, weren't we? And we were staying in the Wembley Hilton, and it was the bar there was kind of famous at the time for if you're working at Wembley, that's where you go in.
Yeah.
And it was just full of, all the people we were working with.
Yeah.
Everyone was having a really good time. No one was being tight with getting around.
We were drinking Jaffa cakes.
I vaguely remember that.
Tia Maria and Cointreau.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
I can remember it just. I can remember being sick in the kettle in the room.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Welcome to the studio. This is where we're going to film most of this show. In here. This is where I work and it's where me and Dan film our other show. Some of you might know that. It's called Studio Life and we have a show called Is It Shit? That one is more about the music stuff and all of that. This isn't. This is just like a general kind of chat show podcast. That sort of thing.
Podcast. It's not a chat show.
No, it's not.
It's not Wogan or Parkinson, is it?
Not quite. Not really up to that level, are we? No, that's a good point.
Yeah. Not got the Wogan haircut.
Quite like a Wogan haircut one day.
Yeah.
You never know. They might come back. I think that was to hide his massive ears. He had ears like Dumbo, didn't he?
Did he?
Enormous ears. Yeah.
Really?
Google that if you're not sure.
Well, I will now. Now you've said.
Wogan's ears.
Wogan's ears.
Did Terry Wogan have big ears? I bet that comes up when you start typing it on Google.
Wogan's ears.
Yeah. Anyway, this is where we're going to film the show from, and there's going to be bits we shoot out and about. What is this show going to be about, Dan?
Well, it's various themes, different themes each week, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's basically, we chat a lot of rubbish, don't we? Talk a lot of bollocks, know. And so we thought
we're going to force you lot to listen.
Rather than keep it to ourselves, we'll share some of it with you lot. So there's some pearls of wisdom, but mainly it's just us talking rubbish.
Yeah, a lot of rubbish. But also, there might be some useful stuff. Blokes of a certain age. We have certain issues, I guess, that younger people might not have.
I didn't realise we were discussing that.
Well, some of it, not all of it. We'll see how it goes,
Yeah.
Anyway, let's kick off
Yeah.
with some stupid news.
Go on,
Interesting things in the news, which could be...
Oh, I've gone. Sorry.
Oh, go on. No.
No, well, orbs and drones.
Oh, yeah. That nearly ended up in here.
Did it?
Yeah. The only reason it didn't is well, clearly that's just someone flying drones, right?
Well, no, because there was. I was infatuated with it for about scrolling at night. Laying in bed scrolling. But it's seeing these big orbs, and there was people saying it was the end of days, and that they were angels, and
Why New Jersey? I've been to New Jersey.
And then, it's all over America.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there was all these drones, specifically around Air Force bases, American Air Force bases.
Yep.
But they reckoned that they'd lost a nuclear weapon. And that's what they were looking for.
I haven't heard any of that.
Yeah, have you not?
No.
Well, this is the other weird thing, because like many conspiracy theories, as soon as it had arrived, it's gone, and it was in none of the national press. But it was a massive thing, and it was genuine footage, and it was. You know, you see these, they call them Tic Tacs, don't they? UFOs and stuff.
Yeah.
And they do the
fast flying.
Well, there was
weird...
a lot of all that sort of stuff going on with it.
Okay, I didn't know there was that as well.
Yeah, it was a huge thing.
All I saw was lots of bad footage of clearly very big drones, but they still had navigation lights on them.
Yeah.
They still had the red and green lights and the flashing lights, which is like, well, that's not a UFO then, is it? That's
well,
a
the
drone.
American government commented on it. It was it was enough. I mean, it was a big enough news for the American government to comment, and they said we don't know where they're coming from.
No,
and there was one theory that they were coming out of the ocean.
Yeah,
it was on Joe Rogan. You talk about podcasts.
Of course it was. Yeah.
It was on Joe Rogan. They did a whole episode on it.
He doesn't mind a conspiracy, does he?
No, he does. He loves a conspiracy.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't flown out of his butt, actually.
Yeah.
But, yeah, interesting. I mean, I saw a thing the other day that said they're not even drones anymore. They're anti-gravity devices.
Yeah.
And they've come from China.
Yeah. Yeah. So you do know about it.
Yeah, but
there were these sort of glowing orbs. I don't know. And
I get it.
And yeah, anyway.
But no little green men got out and threatened us.
Well, they reckon this January, it's
coming.
Another one of the theories was that it's basically, have you heard of this blue, is it blue? I can't remember what it's called, something blue theory. And they reckon that they're going to use technology to frighten
Blue beam, yeah.
Blue beam, yeah. To frighten the population into thinking that it's either the second coming of Christ or an alien invasion.
I think lots of bands have used that promo.
Yeah, I mean, using lasers and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I'd welcome either aliens or Jesus.
A bit of excitement.
Yeah, that's it, exactly.
Change things up a bit. I'd be all right with that.
Anything to stop you having to go to work.
Yeah, that might be quite cool. Yeah. Interesting point.
There we go.
There you go. There was one we didn't plan to talk about, which turned out to be relatively interesting. Wow. So the first thing I've got is so different.
Yeah.
Neil Young, Glastonbury.
Oh yeah, Glastonbury. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and the weird situation with that.
Yeah, because he thinks that the BBC made it too commercial.
Yeah, he didn't. He said he didn't
and then he went, actually, no, it doesn't.
Yeah, he said, I don't like their working practices or something, and I'm not going to get involved with that. And like 24 hours later, he announces on his website that he's doing Glastonbury. And apparently, that's obviously not the way that it's supposed to be done. It's supposed to be announced on Glastonbury's website, and then the BBC announce it and all the rest of it. So, yeah, causing chaos at Glastonbury.
Neil Young, I mean, Rockin' in a Free World.
Yep.
Second favourite Neil Young song? I'm surprised you even know who Neil Young is, actually.
I was forced to listen to quite a lot of it when I was, 18, 19. I had a couple of friends who were really into it.
Yeah.
In that era where you sit in circles in strangers' front rooms, smoking weed, listening to Neil Young and Osric Tentacles.
Those two quite diverse bands.
They were quite diverse.
I read Dave Grohl's autobiography, and apparently he throws a good barbecue, Neil Young. He has a big one where all the sort of stars turn up, and he lives on a ranch. Of course he lives on a ranch. All the stars turn up, and he cooks on the barbecue, and the wife,
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then this one really made me laugh. So apparently, go on.
Well, I was just going to carry on with the Neil Young, the BBC thing. Do you think Glastonbury's too commercial?
Yes.
Do you?
Yeah. I mean, I yes and no.
Have you ever done Glastonbury?
Yeah. Glastonbury is as far as I'm concerned, is apart from all the other festivals. It's a different thing. It's not like all the other festivals.
Yeah.
And I think years ago, when I used to go to Glastonbury as a punter in my early 20s, when I used to break in those days, it was one of the festivals. It was still the coolest one, but you'd go to Phoenix and you'd go to Reading and all the other. They were kind of similar. Glastonbury has set itself apart.
Yeah.
It's become a TV event.
Yeah.
That is also a festival. Yeah.
I did it with a couple of bands, but the last band I did it with was Faithless, and we were the penultimate act.
Yeah.
Good, actually, as the sun goes down on the pyramid stage.
It's an amazing place. Yeah.
And Stevie Wonder was on after us, and he came on 10 minutes late, and he said to the audience, "Hey guys, sorry I'm late. They let me drive."
He's still doing that joke.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with Glastonbury. I get it that that's just the way it works. It is very commercialised. That's how it's a BBC event now, really.
Got a good friend that went to see Kendrick Lamar do it. Was that last year or the year before? I can't remember. But yeah, I've got friends that go every year. But I'm not a big queuer for tickets.
No. Look,
they will have every iPad and laptop in the house going in the queue for tickets, like the Oasis thing.
Exactly. I spent 20 years of my life working at festivals. I'm not going to one
No.
for fun. It's just not me.
No.
Maybe one day, I might drag myself to one.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's like going to the big. The Oasis one was another one. Do you want to go and see Oasis? Well, yeah, I'd like to go and see Oasis. Do I want to queue to get in?
Yeah.
Queue to get tickets to get into the queue to exchange tickets for beer, stand and watch a load of bands that I don't like all day.
yeah.
And then when I'm too drunk to stand up and fed up and bored, sit through a 2 hours Oasis set. No, I don't want to do that for 600 quid. Thank you.
Fair point.
Yeah.
My thoughts entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, there you go.
Okay, let's have another one.
Mm.
According to Mel B from the Spice Girls' daughter, whose name is Phoenix.
Yeah. Phoenix B. It
Phoenix-
sounds like a planet.
Phoenix does sound like a planet. Nepo or Nepo babies have never had so much hate.
What are Nepo babies?
So these are children of famous people, basically, or not necessarily famous, but sometimes just very rich.
Right.
So if your parents are incredibly successful,
Yeah.
she's saying that those kids have never had so much hate.
Oh, you poor little Nepo babies.
These poor
Yeah.
rich kids with
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know what to do.
No, it must
You
be
know.
awful. God, imagine having all that hate, or, being homeless or, mistreated, malnourished, prisoner.
I was going to ask, what do you reckon? But that's clearly, that's all just spewed out of you.
Yeah.
No sympathy whatsoever.
No, I mean I got sympathy with kids that are constantly tied into social media, which I
Yep.
There was a woman on Woman's Hour saying, I think it was Woman's Hour, certainly Radio 4. When kids used to leave school, the school gates, and get home,
Yep.
you came into your own little sort of space, and you weren't judged, you weren't you weren't around your peers anymore. But
True.
But kids don't have that now because
No.
you come out of school and you're straight on
They're
Instagram.
straight on their phones.
Yeah.
They're straight on their phones. Well, I see it obviously with my partner's kids. And they're literally on FaceTime the second they get home. There's no time where they're not interacting with their friends. Very little time.
Oh, it makes me. It's
Yeah.
kind of creepy.
I used to love getting home from senior school where you kind of have to pretend to be cool all day.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I've got
Putting
a couple
on-
of hours when I can do some kid shit.
Yeah.
I can play with my radio controlled car
Yeah.
or my train set or whatever.
Yeah.
No one's going to take the piss or say
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
I can do what I want.
Yeah.
And that, they don't have that.
No.
It's like, you are grown up and you're going to stay grown up.
Yeah. No, it's awful. You're right. No, I don't feel sorry for Phoenix B and Nepo babies.
No.
I just see the Beckham kids all everywhere.
They're not helping, are they?
No.
I mean, Brooklyn, it's a car crash, isn't it? It's like he said he was a photographer and he put out that photography book,
Yeah.
which had some of the worst photos in
Did
it anyone's ever seen. Like, truly awful photos.
Yeah.
Clearly doesn't know how to work a camera or
No.
compose a
No.
photograph. Now he's a chef, I think.
Yeah,
He's a
yeah.
celebrity
yeah,
chef now.
Yeah, a bit like the Duchess. She's not a Duchess anymore, is she? What's her name? Harry and Meghan.
Oh, yeah.
She's got a new Netflix thing out, hasn't she? Where she does sort of cooking for all Hollywood.
Oh, really?
Beverly Hills wives. Yeah.
I mean,
It's grotesque. It is. It's just.
I think ultimately, if they just get a job,
Yeah.
everyone's not going to hate them.
Why would you get a job? Why do
I
you-
understand that too.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult catch-22 for them.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of sympathy. It's like your dad, let's say, is a rock star. Everyone knows your dad is a rock star. So no
Mm. Yeah.
matter what you do, they're going to
Yeah.
say you've only made it because your dad's a rock
Yeah.
star. It's like, what do I do?
Yeah.
What
Well,
do
it's
I
like
do?
Ricky Gervais says, he's not going to have kids because he just end up being, going to be a heroin addict on Hampstead Heath,
Yeah.
But yeah, I understand that, but I still don't think, if you're, you come from a war-torn nation.
Yeah.
Or,
yeah. No sympathy there.
Yeah, no sympathy for rich kids. Yeah, it must be awful. All those yachts and, God, all those holidays, multiple houses. Just imagine.
Terrible.
Poor kids.
Terrible. Side.
Yeah.
Right. That brings us on to TV, film. Anything you've watched recently that particularly
Well,
resonated with you?
yeah, well, I mean, it's been Christmas, hasn't it?
It has.
We did the holy trinity of Christmas movies in our house, me and my brothers.
Okay, so what's the
Planes,
Holy
Trains and
Trinity?
Automobiles. Uncle Buck.
Oh, yeah.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yeah. Damn. Good films.
Proper 80s films.
Yeah, John Hughes.
Yeah.
And John Candy.
John Candy. Oh, John Candy, yeah.
Man.
Brilliant.
And, oh my God. What's his name?
Steve Martin is
Steve Martin,
yeah.
Chevy Chase.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
like classics.
Apparently Chevy Chase is an arsehole. I hate it when you hear that about film stars that you like.
that can't be true. I've heard that, but I'm sort of like, no, he's pissed
people-
someone off, I'm sure.
It was
but-
in people won't work with him, yeah. But
wow, I hope that's not true.
yeah, it's but yeah. So that over Christmas. What about you?
Die Hard, which
Classic Christmas.
it's a classic Christmas film for me, you know, and I know it's been discussed much whether it is or not a Christmas film. I did do the Die Hard drinking game with my children once.
Yeah.
They weren't kids at that point; they were adults. Where you take a shot every time someone dies.
Oh right.
Which there's a point where
I
you
thought you were going to say
you're necking a few.
take a drink every time he says yippee ki yay.
well, then you'd only have 2 drinks, I think.
Is that the only time?
I think he only says it twice. Yeah.
Oh, right.
But yeah, so obviously the classic Die Hard over Christmas. And then I've just finished watching Rogue Heroes Season 2. Now, Rogue Heroes Season 1 was out, I think, in 21. And this was the story of the beginnings of the SAS.
Oh yeah.
But done like so well. I mean,
What's that? What channel is that on?
it's on the iPlayer on BBC.
Right.
Season 1 was amazing, totally blew me away. Season 2 it picks up where they start the European invasion, where they start, you know, working their way up from Sicily up through Italy and stuff. Honestly, it's so good. I just really, really enjoy it, mainly because, you know, I've heard a lot of similar stories, but B, just because I know it's based in truth and these people really, really did this. So I've really enjoyed that. The other thing I've been watching was Traitors.
Oh yes, I've heard about Traitors. Yeah.
Which is, do you know what I watched?
Is that
one
game
of the,
showy?
Yes and no. Do you know what?
Is it Winkleman with the fringe?
Yeah. I mean, that's the only bad bit for me is that every time I look at it, that
Yeah.
would really get on my nerves.
Head and Shoulders advert, isn't it?
Yeah, I couldn't imagine going through life with my hair there, just like poking me in the eyes every day. It is a game show. It's sort of a combination between a game show and reality TV. The whole idea is they stick a bunch of people in this sort of castle type place who have to do a bunch of challenges and all the rest of it, and 3 of them are traitors who have to bump off the others. They just get given a letter in the night to say you're dead, and then that's it, they're gone. And then every day they sit round a round table, all of them, and have to decide who they're going to banish for being a traitor. And it's the psychology of watching people decide who the traitors are, watching the traitors get away with it. It's the last thing I want to do is watch a game show, but once you've watched one episode, you're in and you can't help it, and you want to know what's going on next.
You know what the one for me was that drew me in like that was Gogglebox. And everybody's like, why would you want to watch telly of
people watching telly?
Yeah, but it just draws you in, doesn't it?
It does.
Some of these things.
I always had a slight bit of shame watching Gogglebox for that exact reason.
Yeah.
I'm literally
It's
watching people watch TV.
Yeah. I also watched The Heretic with Hugh Grant.
How's that?
It is fantastic.
Where is it on? Where can you watch it?
I think I might watch it on a dodgy site.
You might watch it on a dodgy site.
But I think it's
Whatever.
is it cinemas, or you might.
Okay.
No, I think I probably paid for it on Amazon Prime.
I think you probably did.
I think I probably paid for it on Amazon Prime. But yeah, if somebody said it was supposed to be the scariest film ever, but it's
Really?
not. It's not that scary. I mean, it's you know, it's a horror flick.
Yeah.
But it's very dialogue-y.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what is he? He's the baddie?
Yes. Yeah.
He's doing a lot of that recently, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, he plays a lot of different characters, but I mean, he's quite charming in it, and he
Yeah.
plays it with an English accent and stuff. But yeah, I mean, he's a very developed character. You'd love it. You'd love it.
Okay, I'll have to give it a go. And is it set now?
Yeah. It's modern day. It's current day. Yeah, but it's all set in one house.
Right.
And there's only 3 characters in it. You know.
So what's the without giving it away, roughly what is the plot? What's going on?
2 what's the Mormon girls go round, sisters go.
Yep.
They're recruiting and giving out Bibles and stuff, and they call round at his house, and he invites them in, and he's a normal sort of man, and he wants to talk to them about the Bible and various stories. But it turns out, obviously, he's a heretic, and he knows a lot about all sorts of different religions, and gradually what he's talking to them about gets darker and darker, and it gets more and more manipulative. And then there's just things, you know, obviously things happen where they start to realise that he is a baddie. And, yeah. So, and then obviously they end up in a dungeon, and he, you know,
Wow.
Yeah, it all gets pretty.
Do you know what?
Pretty
Many years ago, when I was living in my first house with my ex-wife, when we were first living together, she was at work one day and I was at home on my own, really bored. And Jehovah's Witnesses knocked on the door, and I invited them in for a chat, just because I was bored.
Yeah.
went on for hours.
What a mistake. Yeah.
What a mistake of a maker.
What a mistake of a maker,
It was actually quite funny. It was really, I think we had like 2 or 3 cups of tea while they just kept telling me various stuff. And then eventually I went, I'm not that into it. And then sort of shoved them out the door. Yeah. Right, over the last week or so, Dan, what have you been listening to?
Well, what have I been listening? Well, records. I struggle quite a lot with, it's like anything. It's like Netflix. I spend more time flicking through stuff.
Yeah.
Than I do actually listening to stuff.
Yep.
So I like records because it limits your choice.
Yes.
So I've got some old jazz records. I've got a good friend Ryan who's a real jazzer, and he buys me records of various sort of, was it Kenton? Somebody Kenton, and his sort of big bandy stuff. Since becoming not sober entirely, but I've got Saturday mornings back. Saturday mornings are wonderful, great for record players and listening to sort of easy listening stuff. But something I was going to tell you is for Christmas, Bob, my youngest brother, bought me Peter Green's Splinter Group sort of greatest hits. Wow. And I'm pretty sure we recorded...
Yeah, I was going to say, we recorded that, didn't we?
Not all of it. So it's got some stuff on the from the records. So they did Hot Foot Powder, which was an acoustic-y one. They did a blue one, and Time Traders, I think, which was an orange CD. And it's got some live stuff on it.
That's the stuff we did, right?
Some of it, I think, is. Yeah, I don't know if all of it is. But it's brilliant. Double album, no credits, other than songwriters' credits.
I've got a DVD of it somewhere where I have got a credit on there. It does say recording engineer Sean Vincent. But yeah, I was aware there was an album somewhere that I'm not credited on.
No. Well, this is it. It's a double album, but it sounds really good. Even, I mean, because Oki engineered the studio stuff.
Oh, cool.
And that sounds really good. So, yeah. So I've been listening to that. But yeah, because you're a LBC kind of guy, aren't you? James O'Brien.
I am, yeah.
Lefter than left.
Well, I do like LBC, yeah. I'm a bit of a James O'Brien fan. I'm reading his book at the moment. But yeah, I do like listening to LBC. But recently, over this last month, I have been mostly listening to Classic FM.
Have you?
I have.
I can't remember. Is Classic FM... I can't remember whether it's Radio 3 or Classic FM, which is the lightweight one. It must be, I don't know, it must be Radio 3.
They're similar. I much prefer Classic FM.
Yeah, because that's like the greatest hits, isn't it?
It can be, yeah. Yeah, they do play a lot of more popular.
See, I'm a Radio 4 kind of guy, but then Radio 4's, they've dumbed it down.
Dumbed it down?
Yeah, unless it's Woman's Hour, in which case it's fine to talk about vaginas and orgasms at 10 o'clock in the morning. God, I tell you, and this is... I don't think it's controversial. Isn't it weird how you worry about being controversial? But if they had Men's Hour and they spoke about men's issues, it's similar to the way they talk about women's issues.
Yeah, we'd be taken off in no time.
It would.
Yeah.
It would. Yeah.
It would.
Yeah.
It would.
So I like the talky stuff, but we've got a bigger, Alexa box, and I can never decide what to put on. A bit of James Brown. Had some Average White Band on. I like a bit of funk.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I brought some vinyl with me, which I'm not going to do this every time, but I just happen to have it because I have been listening to it. This is what I've been listening to over Christmas. Obviously, a bit of KLF.
Yeah.
But The Last Train to Trans Central, mainly because there's one of the B-sides. I've got, I think, 3 different versions of this, but on this one, there was one I really wanted to listen to, just to remind myself whether it was true. And it's called... I can't read that. What's the last track called?
You can't read that?
No.
Very speed version.
Yeah, sorry. The very speed version.
It's about that big. The typeface is about that big.
It's blurred. And the very speed version, all it is the original version, and someone has got the pitch control and just messed with it while it's playing.
Really?
That's all it is.
Genius.
So there's that. Going to come to this one in a minute. De La Soul, 3 Feet High and Rising, which I had a copy of this back in the day. I don't know what happened to it, but I saw this in a record shop. Original pressing, pretty much pristine. I mean, look at the condition of it. I think it was like 55 quid. So
is it De La Soul that can't release on...
It's fixed, yeah, but for years they couldn't release on Spotify.
Because they hadn't
too many samples.
They hadn't cleared the samples for digital release.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing I've been listening to is the Blade Runner soundtrack. My son Luke bought this for me last year.
Oh, that's your man.
And it's Vangelis.
Vangelis, yeah.
Which it's just beautiful. Sounds incredible. Yamaha CS80 and all those other old synths. It's just flipping wonderful.
Harrison Ford. Whoa.
But I brought this because we talked about this in an episode of the other show. And
what is it?
I just thought it was funny. So this is Tackhead. and it's a song called Videohead, and this came out when I was about 19, and I had been working with them in the studio the year before when they were recording all this stuff. So I thought, oh, it'd be awesome. I'd never heard the finished thing, so I bought it and took it home, put it on my record player, and I'm like, that's an odd logo, but it's got 2 T's on it, so that must be the T for Tackhead.
Yeah.
And then I looked on the other side, and there's a picture of these 5 young guys on it, and I'm like, and I didn't know who they were.
Come on.
They weren't famous
that.
yet, but this is Take That's first single.
Yeah.
And this is the picture disc. And for some
Certainly is,
reason,
isn't
it got put in the wrong sleeve, and I got home and put it on. I'm like, what the hell is this? Anyway, that is us for now. We are going to call it a day for this episode 1, and we'll be back in episode 2. If you want, you can like and follow and
We've got to do that. Yeah, subscribe to the channel.
and all that stuff. But most importantly, we're on TikTok. So if you fancy following us on TikTok, give us a follow. And we will see you in episode 2.
See you there.
Adios.